I have trained with a lot of old men who can still do martial arts. And I have trained with a lot of middle-aged men whose bodies are falling apart. What is the difference between these two?
The art of fighting without fighting? Show me some of it.
There's a trend on YouTube of ranking various martial arts for how effective they are for self-defense. I too have taken part in this trend, resulting in my most watched video on my YouTube channel, so check that out. While comparing various content creators' opinions on the subject, a general consensus has started to emerge. That consensus being that combat sports like Muay Thai, Lethwei, and boxing, they were always put in the top tier, while the more traditional martial arts like karate, kung fu, kali, and kempo were always put kind of in the mid to low tier. The reason often given is that combat sports, because they are trying to knock each other out, give the practitioner a better sense of what a real fight feels like when compared to non-combat sports that tend to compete with lighter contact and more protective gear. The idea seems simple enough. If you want to learn to fight, then you should fight hard and fight often. And when I was in my 20s, I would agree with this sentiment wholeheartedly. I would take any fight I could get when I was in high school and in college. Before we get too deep into this video, I'd like to make you aware that there is an online training program available for you to train in my curriculum at Kempo360.com. At Kempo360.com, we are offering the initiation phase of my school, where we teach the fundamentals of self-defense. Consider it the essentials kit for learning to protect yourself. All you need to do to sign up is go to Kempo360.com. Growing up in Mississippi in the early 2000s, formal martial arts competitions were not available to me. So I took part in weekly fight clubs, I would do challenge matches, and I sparred with local martial artists as often as I could. Now, I know that this is not the same kind of competition that a Muay Thai fighter or a boxer is doing, but believe me when I tell you, we were fighting for real. In college, I took up boxing, did a little Muay Thai, and I attended a gym that sparred very hard. Why? Because if you're going to learn how to fight, you had to do the real thing, right? Well, according to the Indiana University School of Medicine, CTE is a progressive degenerative disease affecting people who have suffered repeated concussions and traumatic brain injuries that may occur in some athletes and others who have been exposed to concussions and repetitive head impact. The repeated blows and shocks to the brain associated with combat sports put fighters at an unusually high risk of developing CTE. This phenomenon is not exclusive to striking sports. Ronda Rousey, an Olympic bronze medalist in judo and the first UFC women's champion, admitted in her latest book, Our Fight, that she has sustained well over 100 concussions in judo before she ever took part in striking arts. According to the National Institute of Health, CTE results in a progressive decline of memory and cognition, as well as depression, suicidal behavior, poor impulse control, aggressiveness, and eventually dementia, similar to Alzheimer's disease. These impairments can have a horrible effect on your quality of life as you age. Combat sports can also have a negative effect on the rest of your body as well. For example, the guy who taught me kickboxing was 60 years old, and he had cataracts, glaucoma, and was missing an ear from competing in the ring. Granted, he lost his ear in a bar fight. I'm in my mid-30s at the time of making this video, and because of my years of doing the fight clubs and the challenge matches, I have shoulder issues, I have back issues, and I can't straighten my elbows. On the flip side, one of my Kung Fu instructors, Master Daniel Pacina, is in his 60s and is in phenomenal shape. I once asked him how he does it, and he gave me a really simple answer. He said, "Do Kung Fu every day." Then there is my Sifu in Wing Chun, a man in his 70s who can still do pistol squats. He swears by the practice of Kung Fu as his primary method to stay in shape. Finally, there's Guru Dan Anasanto, who still travels around the world teaching Kali and Jeet Kune Do in his 80s. He tells me that the combination of a good diet, restorative arts like yoga and physical therapy, and training in martial arts is the key to his longevity. I have trained with a lot of old men who can still do martial arts. And I have trained with a lot of middle-aged men whose bodies are falling apart. What is the difference between these two? It's what style they study and how they train it. None of the guys who are in their 60 plus years of age prescribe to this, you have to get in the ring to learn how to fight philosophy. Instead, they encourage super light contact sparring and a lot of intense drilling of techniques. In contrast, the instructors with broken bodies are all the dudes who tell me to do neck bridges and always train as hard as I can and are constantly pushing their students to compete in full contact martial arts tournaments. But the question still remains, can the guys who don't train so hard still defend themselves? And the answer to that question is yes. I know very few instances where a trained martial artist of any kind was unable to protect themselves against an untrained fighter. Because martial artists are always competing with each other, we tend to forget that the 90+% of people who have never done martial arts can't take a single punch or handle being thrown to the ground. In fact, they don't even know how to defend such counterattacks. I once had a friend of mine attacked at a gas station. He never sparred hard and just practiced Kempo twice a week. When the guy swung a punch at him, my friend snack kicked him in the groin, palm striked him in the face, and then broke his knee with a side kick. My friend never competed in boxing or martial arts tournaments. As a matter of fact, he was just a middle-aged man who smoked like a chimney and happened to like doing martial arts in his spare time. I assure you that if a boxer or an MMA fighter had a fight with my buddy, my friend would lose. But that's fighting, not self-defense. His training had him fully prepared to protect himself, and he didn't have to incur a lifetime of brain trauma to develop the skill. There's a concept in Wing Chun that instead of hitting as hard as you possibly can, which will most likely break your knuckles, we hit hard enough and accurately enough to get the job done. We do this to minimize the risk of injury to our hand. Many of the older martial arts styles, much like the old men who taught me, have developed a softer, more relaxed training method because they have found longevity is more important than speed of skill development. If you want to become the best fighter in the world, it is important to know that there will be some major sacrifices you must make to your body and your brain. However, if you are just wanting to learn to protect yourself, stay in shape, or get a good workout in, then the arts like Kung Fu, Jeet Kune Do, Kali, and Kempo, well, they'll also teach you how to fight and take care of your body as you train them. Much like the Wing Chun punch, it's not about training as hard as you can. It's about training hard enough and smart enough to get the job done and reach your goals without taking on long-term damage to your brain or body. If you're interested in learning self-defense in a way that won't damage your brain, and you live in the Indianapolis area, all the information to come and train with me is on our website, theschoolofselfdefense.com. And if you live too far to train with me in person, we now have an online program at Kempo360.com. Kempo360.com offers our initiation phase curriculum that I teach right in my school. It is like the essentials kit for self-defense. And of course, if you've made it to the end of this video, you're clearly enjoying the content, so be sure to click that subscribe button, the thumbs up button, and click that little bell to help the algorithm know that you like these videos and that they should push them out to other people. We're a very small channel, so we can't grow without your help. So until next time, everybody, I'm Michael Valenti with the School of Self-Defense. Fight on.